I signed the paper while my coffee was still hot. That's the part I keep replaying. Not the betrayal, not the court dates, not the screaming. The coffee. Steam curled between us like nothing was wrong. My name is Mara Ellison. I'm 38 years old. I read contracts for a living. I've spent my entire career teaching companies how not to get legally destroyed. And I signed away my own house in under 3 seconds. I was standing at the kitchen counter, hair still wet, tile cold under my bare feet, my 7-year-old arguing with his cereal because the milk was too loud. Normal morning. Safe morning. My husband slid the document toward me like it was a grocery receipt. Just refinance paperwork, he said. Casual, distracted, already scrolling his phone. I didn't read the header, didn't scan the terms, didn't check the signature block. 12 years of marriage make you lazy with trust. I signed. He kissed the top of my head like I'd done something helpful, like I'd packed his lunch, like I'd made his life easier. 3 months later, a property tax notice arrived. Thin envelope, official seal. It wasn't addressed to me. It wasn't addressed to us. It was addressed to his mother. I laughed when I opened it, a stupid reflex. Then I checked the county records, and my name wasn't on the house anymore. The coffee memory came back instantly, and I tasted vinegar. I confronted him that night after our son was asleep. I kept my voice calm. If you yell too early, men like him hide behind your tone instead of your words. Why is your mother listed as the owner? He didn't even look surprised. That's temporary, he said. Asset protection. He said it like a compliment, like I should admire the strategy. Asset protection. Like I was a liability, like my existence required containment. Meanwhile, his mother had already started rehearsing ownership, at dinner, in front of my child. When you grow up, she told him sweetly, this will all stay in the family. I was sitting right there, smiling, holding a fork. Apparently, I wasn't family anymore. I smiled back, polite, measured, because panic is loud, and I needed silence to think. That night, I pulled the refinance file from our cabinet. The folder felt heavier than it should have. He hadn't refinanced. He transferred ownership. The signature was mine. The valuation was forged, and the timestamp matched the morning coffee. My stomach didn't drop. It hardened. Shock isn't always falling. Sometimes it's freezing. Fraud doesn't arrive as one big betrayal. It arrives as paperwork, lines, initials, tiny decisions you don't question because love trained you not to. I audited our finances like I was reviewing a hostile company. Accounts I didn't recognize. Credit lines opened under my name. Balances that felt fictional. Every trail led back to him. Every risk stamped with my signature. My name wasn't a wife. It was collateral. I sat at the dining table at 2:17 a.m. The house is silent except for the refrigerator hum. My son is asleep down the hall, safe, unaware. And I understood something that rewrote my marriage in one breath. He didn't protect me. He positioned me. I wasn't a partner. I was a backup funding, insurance disguised as intimacy. And he thought I'd never look. That hurt more than the debt, the assumption. He didn't fear consequences. He feared curiosity. And he never expected mine. The next morning he made pancakes, extra butter, extra syrup, the apology breakfast. I watched him move around the kitchen like a man rehearsing innocence. You've been distant, he said. Concerned husband's voice, perfect pitch. Gaslighting isn't loud, it's domestic, it smells like breakfast. I slid one document across the counter, paper whispering against wood. He froze, just a flicker. Then the smile came back. That's accounting structuring, he said. Vocabulary instead of guilt. Terminology instead of truth. He weaponized language like armor. If I didn't understand the words, I'd doubt the crime. But I read contracts for a living, and I watched his confidence crack in slow motion. He wasn't scared I'd leave. He was scared I'd understand. That was the first honest moment of the morning. And it didn't belong to him. It belonged to the silence after. I didn't threaten him. Threats are announcements, and announcements give people time to hide. I called a lawyer from my car in a grocery store parking lot, hands steady, voice shaking. I think my husband stole my identity, I said. Silence. Then, come in today. No surprise, no disbelief, just procedure. That scared me more than anything. The lawyer read the file for 10 minutes. Didn't blink, didn't sigh. This isn't mismanagement, she said. This is patterned financial exploitation. Patterned, meaning intentional, meaning practiced, meaning repeatable. I walked back into the sunlight and the world looked unchanged. Cars moved, people laughed. A kid cried over a dropped popsicle. Normal life was continuing like my marriage hadn't just been legally reclassified. Not broken. Criminal. And the scariest part? I felt calm. Because clarity is quieter than fear. And I finally had it. The lawyer told me to document everything. Not emotionally. Financially. Emotion doesn't hold up in court. Paper does. So I sat on the floor of my closet and audited my marriage. Shoes stacked above me. Coats brushing my shoulders, my life hanging neatly while the foundation rotted, accounts I never opened, loans I never approved, balances that felt fictional until I read my name attached to everyone. He didn't gamble, he engineered. There were timestamps, patterns, repeated methods. This wasn't panic spending, it was architecture. That's what broke me. Not the debt, the design. I could see the blueprint of betrayal like a floor plan. Every hallway led back to me. Every exit is locked behind my signature. Downstairs I heard him laughing with his mother. Comfortable laughter, domestic, the sound of people who believed the house still belonged to them. And I kept writing, because every number I recorded was a brick leaving its foundation. Every page made him smaller, more mortal, more traceable. By the time I finished, the closet felt different, like I just packed up 12 years and labeled the box as evidence. The bank confirmed the first fraud at 9:12 a.m. I took the call in my car. Engine off. Windows cracked. The world was moving normally outside, while mine paused. I need a yes or no, the agent said gently. Did you authorize this credit extension? No. The word left my mouth clean. No tremor, no apology, just no. There was a shift on the line, procedure activating, tone tightening. Within minutes, accounts froze. Flags triggered, investigations opened. The system believed me faster than my husband ever did. That realization hit harder than the fraud. I hung up and stared at the steering wheel until my reflection blurred. I expected victory. I felt mourning. Because I wasn't exposing a stranger. I was dismantling the man who packed my son's lunch and kissed him goodnight. And there's no clean version of that. Only necessary ones. A mother in the next car was singing to her toddler, windows down. Music loud, life continuing. I sat there and let the grief pass through me like traffic. I didn't chase it. I didn't stop it. I just let it move. He noticed by dinner. You don't freeze half a financial life quietly. His fork stopped midair. What did you do? He asked. Not what happened. What did you do? Ownership of the problem landed on me instantly. I wiped syrup from my son's hands like nothing was wrong. Compliance review, I said lightly. A word he taught me. His eyes sharpened. He smiled at his mother, but the smile didn't reach his jaw. That's when I saw it. Fear. Small. Controlled but real. He chewed too slowly, swallowed too hard. Every movement is calculated, and suddenly I wasn't scared anymore, because predators panic when prey learns math. Dinner ended early. His mother kept talking. He barely heard her. I watched the man I married run silent simulations in his head. Exit strategies. Damage control. He wasn't angry. He was cornered. And cornered men tell the truth with their bodies long before their mouths. That night he tried negotiation. No yelling, no threats. Just soft logic. We can fix this internally, he said. Like the law was rude company, we could politely decline. He sat on the edge of the bed like a consultant pitching peace. I'll restructure everything, he promised. I'll protect you. Protect me? From the mess he built. I almost admired the symmetry. He spoke in the future tense. Clean slates. Fresh starts. Words designed to erase timestamps. I nodded slowly. Let him believe. Because the lawyer had already filed preliminary fraud claims. The machine was moving, and he was negotiating with a train. He didn't know that yet. He thought he was still in control of the schedule. I watched hope flicker behind his eyes. Not hope for us, hope for access. That's when love finally exited the room. Not loudly, just permanently. The investigation letter arrived 2 days later. Certified, cold, official. He opened it while standing in the kitchen. Morning light cuts across the page. He read the header, stopped, restarted, read again, like the words might rearrange into mercy. They didn't. His hands shook, not violently, just enough to betray him. His mother asked what it was. He said nothing, and folded the paper smaller, as if size could erase consequence. I watched sweat gather at his hairline, watched the myth peel off him in real time. That's when I understood. He wasn't scared of prison. He was scared of being seen, of the record, of a version of himself that couldn't be explained away. Exposure is louder than punishment, And once it starts, it doesn't stop. He looked at me, searching for a partnership. I gave him neutrality, and that scared him more than anger ever could. He started rewriting reality the next morning. That's when I knew he was losing. Fraud men don't confess, they narrate. He told his mother the bank was confused, told friends it was a clerical audit, told me we were being targeted. Every sentence repositioned him as a victim. Every lie recruited witnesses. Because if enough people believe your innocence, you start believing it too. He spoke in calm tones, measured, professional. Like this was a public relations issue, not a crime. I watched him perform credibility at the breakfast table. Coffee steady in his hands, voice steady in his throat. Only his eyes moved too fast, tracking outcomes, calculating damage. He wasn't fighting the charges, he was fighting the story. And I let him, because truth doesn't compete with spin, it outlasts it. Time was already on my side. He just hadn't noticed the clock yet. He cried that night. Real tears. Not performance. That shocked me more than the fraud. I was trying to protect us, he said. His voice cracked on us, plural, like he still believed he lived there. He talked about market crashes, medical disasters, future emergencies, only ones he dared to plan for. Every theft is reframed as a sacrifice, every lie repainted as love. And for a second, I saw the version of him I married. The man who used to believe his own intentions. That's what almost broke me. Not the money, the sincerity. Because abusers don't always feel evil, sometimes they feel heroic. And that's the most dangerous kind. I didn't comfort him, I didn't accuse him, I just watched, and let the illusion die quietly between us. The next morning he tried tenderness. Coffee in bed, soft voice, apologies shaped like peace offerings. I fixed it, he said. I started reversing the transfers, you'll see. He showed me an email, bank letterhead, official tone. For one terrifying second, I believed him. My chest loosened, my hands stopped shaking. 12 years of marriage rushed back like oxygen. Maybe this could end quietly. Maybe I didn't have to burn everything down. Then my lawyer texted. He opened a new line under your name at 7:42 a.m. I stared at the timestamp. He handed me coffee at 7:45. Smiling, apologizing, planning the next theft while pretending to repair the last. Something cold settled inside me. Not anger, understanding. He wasn't scared of losing me. He was scared of losing access. And the performance ended right there. I changed every password that night. Email, banking, insurance, retirement. I watched digital doors slam shut one by one. Each click is a boundary. Each reset a sentence. You don't live here anymore. The house felt different immediately. Quieter, like it was holding its breath. He walked from room to room sensing the shift. Predators always feel perimeter changes. He tried my laptop. Denied, tried the account app, locked. He stood in the hallway staring at nothing. And I realized he'd never imagined a version of me that closed doors, that hurt him more than the investigation. Because control wasn't slipping. It was gone, and it wasn't coming back. We stopped arguing. That's when marriages truly end. Not during shouting. During the quiet, we spoke about logistics, school pickups, groceries, bills, but the emotional channel was cut clean. He sat across from me at dinner like a tenant. I watched him calculate every word, every movement. He wasn't trying to win me back. He was trying to survive the investigation. Love had exited the building. Self-preservation took the lead. Our son laughed at something on his plate, and the sound split the room open. He looked at him like a man watching a life he'd already lost. I didn't feel victorious. I felt distance, and distance is colder than anger, but safer. And for the first time in months, I felt safe. The criminal notice arrived on a Tuesday. Plain envelope. No drama, no thunder. Just paper heavy enough to bend the mailbox. He opened it while standing at the kitchen counter. Same counter, same spot I signed. History has a sense of humor. His eyes scanned, stopped, restarted. Scanned again, like the words might rearrange into mercy if he stared hard enough. They didn't. His hands shook, not violently, just enough to reveal him. His mother asked what it was. He said, nothing. Too fast, too thin. He folded the paper small enough to pretend it wasn't real. That's when I understood something important. He wasn't scared of jail. He was scared of being seen. Men like him survive on reputation, on the illusion of competence. The letter stripped that down to ink and record. No explanation, no spin, just a fact. And fact doesn't negotiate. He set the envelope down as it burned, and I watched the heat travel up his arms. His mother cornered me in the kitchen. whisper voice, tight smile. "You're ruining him," she said. "Not what he did, what I did." Her loyalty wasn't to the truth, it was too bloody, and I respected the honesty of that. But I didn't accept the blame. "He ruined himself," I said quietly. She flinched like I'd broken a rule. Women in her world absorb damage. They don't redirect it. I was breaking tradition, and she hated me for it. Not because I was wrong, because I was new. Her eyes watered, not grief, fear. She wasn't protecting her son, she was protecting the story she built about him. And I had already rewritten it, without asking permission. "He used our son like a shield, not loudly, quietly. That judge sees instability," he said one night. "They don't like chaotic homes." He glanced toward the hallway where our son slept. "You're creating trauma." The word landed like glass. Trauma. Like I was the danger. Like protecting us was a crime. I stepped into my son's room and watched him breathe. Small chest rising, blanket was tangled around his legs. Safe for now. I imagined debt collectors, eviction notices, years of court stamped with my name. That's the future my husband built. Not accidentally. Deliberately. I sat on the floor and cried without sound, not because I was scared, because I finally understood the scale. He didn't gamble money. He gambled our child's stability, and if I failed, my son paid. That's when mercy left the room, and it never came back. I filed for separation the next morning. No speech, no announcement, just paperwork. He read it at the kitchen table. Same spot, same light, same symmetry. He didn't yell, didn't cry, he looked tired. Like a man outrun by his own strategy. "You're destroying us," he said. And for the first time I answered honestly. "You already did." The silence that followed wasn't anger. It was an agreement, a quiet mutual recognition that the marriage had already ended. I was just writing the closing paragraph. He signed nothing, said nothing. Just stared at the paper like it was written in a language he used to understand. And lost, he packed slowly, careful, methodical, like sudden movement might trigger a collapse. Our son hugged him goodbye, confused, not broken, just uncertain. Children don't understand betrayal, they understand absence. And I promised myself one thing watching that door close. No matter how ugly the court became, my son would never carry the story. That burden was mine, and I was strong enough to hold it. The house went quiet after he left, not empty, just recalibrated, like the walls exhaled. I stood in the hallway listening to the silence, and for the first time in months, it didn't scare me. It felt earned. Courtrooms are quieter than television teaches you. No shouting, no dramatic objections, just paperwork deciding futures in voices too calm for what they're destroying. He sat across from me in a gray suit that suddenly looked too big, like success had been tailored and removed overnight. The judge read numbers like weather reports. Debt totals, forgery counts, transfer trails. Each figure peeled him open in public. No anger, no performance, just math dismantling reputation. He sat smaller with every sentence, shoulders folding inward, eyes locked on the table like eye contact might confirm reality. His mother cried behind him, a broken sound she kept trying to swallow. Not for the money, for the version of her son that was dying in real time. And I realized this wasn't punishment. Punishment is loud. This was exposure. Exposure is surgical, because once the truth is spoken into record, it becomes architecture. Permanent, and the entire room felt colder when everyone understood. There was no version of this story where he walked out untouched. The judge asked him one question, simple, direct. "Did you knowingly authorize these transfers under your spouse's identity?" The room held still. Even the air paused. He could have lied. People lie in court every day and walk out smiling. He didn't. Yes, one syllable. Permanent. The sound didn't echo, it settled. Heavy. Final. His mother's breath caught behind him like something tearing. And I felt the word travel through my body and rearrange it. That was the moment the marriage ended. Not when he stole. Not when I filed. Here, when truth became official. This wasn't revenge. This was a record. History stamped in ink. No interpretation. No negotiation. Just a fact sitting in a room full of witnesses. And fact doesn't care about love or memory or promises whispered over the years. It only cares about permanence. And permanence had chosen its side. The ruling came slowly, deliberate. Every word lands like a hammer placed carefully instead of swung. Fraud confirmed. Transfers voided. Ownership restored. Then the line that froze the room. Patterned financial exploitation of a spouse. No mistake. Not confusion. Exploitation, a label that doesn't wash off. His former partners were in the back row, so were employees. People who once called him brilliant, they watched the world brand him in real time. His shoulders collapsed inward, not from prison fear, from exposure. He looked at me once, and I saw it clearly. He didn't hate me. He hated that I survived him, that I existed outside his system, that I would keep living after the record closed. That was the real defeat. Not the ruling, not the money, survival. And the judge handed it to me without ceremony, just ink, just truth, just finality. I walked back into the house alone, legally mine again. The lock turned clean. No hesitation. Inside, everything was exactly where I left it. Furniture, light, air. But the weight was gone. I stood in the kitchen where I signed the paper, where I lost everything, where I took it back. And I understood something simple. The house was never the point. Autonomy was. Money returns, property transfers, accounts rebuild. But autonomy, once stolen, rewrites you when you reclaim it. I wasn't the woman who signed blindly anymore. That version of me stayed in the courtroom, buried under paperwork and records. The woman standing in that kitchen was new, not harder, not colder, just awake. And no one would ever mistake me for collateral again. The house didn't feel like victory. It felt like authorship. My life is written in my name, only mine. My son ran through the house that evening laughing. No court, no fraud, no history, just childhood expanding to fill the rooms. I watched him exist without fear. And that was the real win. Not the ruling, not the documents, the future. Clean, unleveraged, untouched by someone else's greed. Some people think survival is loud. It isn't. It's quiet. It's a woman sitting in her kitchen knowing no one owns her name anymore. If you've ever trusted someone with your future and had to rebuild from scratch, I want to hear your story. Not the highlight version. The real one. Drop it in the comments. Because the more we talk about this, the harder it gets for people like him to hide. And if this story stayed with you, subscribe. There's a lot more survival out there. And silence protects abusers. Stories don't.